Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Market Open. It is Thursday, April 18th, 8:45 a.m., and we are back again with another Market Open. A lot of interesting stuff to discuss today, folks. We had TSMC. They just had earnings. Their stock is down a little bit in the pre-market, but overall, the earnings were good. I think the stock just got a little expensive over the past, 3 months as it's run up 40%. So TSMC is down a little bit. We'll talk about the earnings. Netflix today after the bell. I'll be here live on the market close. I think we get those numbers around 4:05, and then by 5 p.m. the call starts. So make sure you're there for the market close. We'll be discussing Netflix. They are going to kick off big tech earnings, and hopefully Netflix crushes so that other companies can crush as well. Boston Dynamics, they released a new video recently, and the video that Boston Dynamics put out is incredibly interesting. It's about their version of what a humanoid robot looks like. It's definitely competition for Aptronic, Figure, Tesla, Optimus. All these guys have to put up with this new robot from Boston Dynamics. So we're going to be talking about that. Jobs data we just got this morning, along with the 10-year, starting to come down a little bit, and oil prices. Well, 10 years basically flat today. Oil prices are down, and some jobs numbers that we got were relatively bullish. So we're going to be talking about all of that stuff on the macro. And then, of course, we have to discuss Tesla. It's struggling. It's struggling right now. Tesla got another downgrade. Tesla is at 151. It looks like it's heading below 150. And if that happens, that is going to be incredible to see. If it falls like a real falling knife, 151.57, down 2.4% in the pre-market, or if that dip gets bought. But we'll be discussing that live here today on the Market Open. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's get into it. Switchblade, Broccoli Bob, Gene Phillip, Walt, I'm Beneficial, Status, LP, Peter, Other Zinc, Benny, Rick, Bren, Quarantine Quartet, Broccoli Bob, John, C. Anderson, Victor, Colorblind Collector, Autumn, Cows, Open Sky, Shintoki, David, Trucker Rob, Harvey. Thank you all for being here today. Victor says, Amit, are you granting people 3 wishes today? I don't know why you say that comment. I don't know what you mean by that. I have no idea. I have no idea what that's implying. Smokey, Kaiser, what's up? So this is I'm finally debuting one of the vests. Remember, guys, 2 weeks ago, I said I bought a ton of these Indian vests. I didn't realize over the past 3 weeks how crazy life would get. Like, I bought them right before the Vlad interview and then Robinhood in New York, and just like everything's been so crazy. So I haven't had a time. Then I went to New Orleans. I haven't had a time to just like plan out a good outfit for the morning. And today I was like, you know what? Tesla's down at 151. Shit kind of sucks. Why don't we brighten things up? And so this is one of the vests that I got. I like it. It looks nice. I think on like a first date, on a first date it would look ridiculous. But like I think for the morning open, this is not our first date. For some of you that are new subscribers, maybe this is our first date. But for the majority of you, this is our like 17,000th date. So hopefully it looks nice and it's nice on the eyes this morning. All right, Tesla, let's get into it. 151.95. Why is Tesla down 2.25%? Well, they got their, I think this is their like 8th downgrade in basically 2 weeks. Wells Fargo, UBS, all these guys have downgraded them. Today, the bank with the funniest name in the world downgraded them. I just love saying their name. Deutsche Bank. I don't know why I love saying that, but Deutsche Bank downgraded these guys 1.5% down, 189 to 123. So their argument is that the delay of the $25,000 compact car beyond 2025, which it looks like that's going to happen, it has reduced their price target now from 189 to 123 because of that. Now, in my opinion, I was thinking about it a lot last night, and I think a $25,000 car is the wrong path to go when it comes to Tesla. I think it's going to have shitty margins. I think it's just going to have more volumes, but not really advance what Tesla's real goal is. What is Tesla's real goal? Going all in on robotaxis, which is way more risky, but it is the point of Tesla. I think it is the AI vision of Tesla at the end of the day, not to just make another mass consumer car that without full self-driving is not going to be that. I mean, at the end of the day, you're just competing with, Honda and Toyota. It's not as exciting to me at the end of the day. So the question is, can Wall Street bake this into their valuation model? So far, at least Deutsche Bank, UBS, Wells Fargo, all these guys have said we cannot bake this in to our models to be able to come to a conclusion. Now, Elon Musk last night as well, I think for every day on this show, I have showed at least one tweet Elon has liked to basically confirm they're going all in on robotaxis. Here's what he responded to yesterday. Someone tweeted, robotaxi Teslas will drive 5x the miles of personal cars. And Elon responds, this sounds about right. I think it cannot be more obvious that this guy has made up his mind, and his mind is that we're going all in on robotaxis, and now we're just going to see if Wall Street can keep up and eventually agree with that new valuation model, or they're going to have to make a new valuation model to agree with Elon's decision. Here's Dan Ives and Ross Gerber talking about this last night. We'll take a look at what they have to say and then keep going on from there.
Things at Tesla could see darker days ahead. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, well, first, Musk deserves this. This is something shareholders voted on, and it really was one of the biggest turnarounds that we've seen really in the history of public companies. If for Musk, look, this is a fork in the road period. I mean, we go into earnings next week. It's been dark days in terms of what we've seen. Deliveries were a train wreck. And you look at the cost cutting, this is something that's gone from a Cinderella story to, in the near term, a horror show. Musk needs to turn this around next week, but this comp package needs to get
approved. Do you think he should have even let this happen? The arguments over his compensation at this point, I mean, it is a distraction from other. I just mentioned Tesla's stock, or its market cap, went from 1.2 trillion down to below 500 billion now. There's a lot on that plate.
Yeah, and I think also he's created, I'd say, about 30% of that, right? In terms of what we've seen on X, as well as some of the distractions in AI, the 25% that potentially he was going to take. But this is something that they are facing massive headwinds, and as Ross will talk about, but at the end of the day, Musk is Tesla, Tesla is Musk. He needs to continue to be CEO for what I believe next 5-7 years.
Ross, you were on this program last night, just scathing in your assessment of the board of directors of Tesla. But then we went scouring through Twitter, and it turns out that back in the day, you thought that package, the compensation for Elon Musk, was pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I benefited greatly from Musk's performance personally and for my firm. And I'm super grateful for Tesla as an investment. And at the time I voted for it, and I don't actually have any belief that he doesn't deserve it. But I think the issue is that the board had a flawed process. And just by trying to just reapprove this, have they shown that the process was done better in any way? And just reincorporating in another state is basically like saying, well, we just don't care. We'll just reapprove it and move somewhere else. But maybe we get more lawsuits and distractions because of it. And so I think for me, it's not whether he deserves it or not. It's whether this board of directors can actually have any credibility with anybody.
What do you predict would happen if a bunch of directors on this board resigned and said, okay, you know what, maybe we're not in the best interest of this company or other stakeholders? What do you anticipate would happen then to Tesla if you had a real change in leadership?
Well, I don't think that's the leadership. I think Elon Musk should be CEO of Tesla. And actually, the board of directors should just require that he work at Tesla like every other CEO. That's a different issue. But that's actually what needs to happen is several board members have to, understand that they're conflicted and they need to resign, and then truly independent directors, which I do not want to be. I just want to make it very clear, but truly.
Yes, he does.
Independent directors should be appointed, and then a compensation committee is created that then can review this process in an independent way and then produce a new proxy that would be voted on by shareholders. And even if the terms are the same, maybe have some covenants involving, coming to work. I don't know.
So basically, for those that don't understand what Ross's gripe has been with the compensation package, the argument for why the Delaware judge said that Elon shouldn't get the $58 billion was because the board directors, which includes his brother, Kimball Musk, were not independent in creating the compensation package. Now, to me, the argument never made sense because 73% of shareholders back in 2018 voted for it. So a significant majority of shareholders, if they felt that the compensation package was wrong, which let's say they also felt that the board directors were, non-independent in making the compensation package, they would have just voted against it. Right? Like objectively, they would have said, hey, this is too much. We're not. The reason they voted for it is because it was such an absurd package, because the idea that he would 10x the stock in 5 years, like no one believed it. So they were like, all right, fuck it. Here's a lottery ticket. But he pulled it off. And so I think now Ross's argument is like, hey, you need to readjust the board, have them come up with the same package. Notice how he said, oh, the package can be the same. We just need different board directors. And the only sort of caveat, which means he doesn't have a problem with the compensation. The only caveat is that Elon has to spend more time and focus on Tesla. At that point, to me, that's a subjective call on you, Mr. Gerber, not liking that he has SpaceX and Twitter and things of that nature, which is fair. You can subjectively agree with that. Then don't vote for the package. But for the far majority of shareholders that don't care that he owns Twitter and SpaceX and Neuralink and Boring Company and blah, 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 if they're voting for it, then they have come to the agreement that, look, that's okay. I want my CEO doing multiple things. And I still think that those multiple things maybe help influence the trajectory of Tesla. I mean, a lot of people say the Twitter thing, like, it hurt Tesla. And yes, from a monetary perspective, he had to sell some stock, all that stuff. Yes, that hurt it. But I actually think the data advantage Twitter is getting in the context of AI is going to eventually lead either to Optimus becoming stronger or just the pure marketing. Like the fact that Elon Musk can never get censored, the fact that Dan O'Dowd can post some like fake nonsense around FSD and it can get community noted because Elon has built the feature to actually allow hundreds of millions of people to real-time fact check misinformation. Like that's something that the old Twitter barely added the edit button. Like, you know what I mean? So I think as a machine of marketing, Twitter was worth it, and eventually the data advantage will be worth it as well. But that's the problem we have on with Tesla. Another piece of news that happened with Tesla as well in the pre-market is their EU sales are down year over year. So right here, Tesla EU sales are down 30% in March, which is not good as well. EU March sales recorded biggest drop in 16 months. Tesla March EU new car registrations fell 30%. EU March newly fully electric car registrations fell 11%. So not only did Tesla EU, which means European Union car registrations fall 30%, but the entire electric car market in terms of registrations for new vehicles in the EU also fell 11%. So now we're seeing two parts of the world, China, that is weakening demand and increasing competition. And at least for the March data, maybe this is an anomaly for this 1 month, but in the March data, it's showing that the EU is now struggling with demand. Both of these things are very bearish for Tesla stock. And this bad boy is at 151.85 right now. Would not surprise me if we dip below 150 and it becomes a real falling knife. Now, the question is, are there enough dip buyers at 149, 148, 150, which I think there's a plenty of them. But if this thing really just falls through, I mean, maybe it's look out below. So we'll see how this happens. In the chat, do you think Tesla goes below 150 today? It's at 151.85. So it's basically $1.85 above that 150 strike. Put in the chat, do you think it actually falls below 150? I asked it on Twitter this morning and pretty much everyone said it's falling below 150. I feel like as much as I want to say this is peak fear, which I definitely think it's peak fear, this Q1 earnings I don't think is going to go well just from I mean, two senior executives left. I think Elon's going to have to convince Wall Street that the robotaxi matters. It's going to be a tough earnings call. So we could see a little bit more downside momentum on this company. Lusty Picker says below 140. Savant says it's going to 120, 50, 100, back to 120, 130. And the crazy thing is, if it falls back to 100, this is not January 2023 where the whole market was screwed. This is Tesla independently being screwed, where the whole market is doing great. I mean, we'll talk about the market. It's still, the market's up 6% year to date, right? Like, I know the market's had a little bit of a tumble in April, but it's performing really well without Tesla. So if Tesla falls independently outside of the market, that is definitely going to be some tough news for Tesla to accept. But I don't know, man. The dip could get, people might think at 140, 145, this is stupid, and they might just start buying. So this is the fun part about the markets. You kind of just never know how this will play out. All right, we'll talk more about Tesla in a bit. Let's get on to jobs data and macro. So we've got a ton of stuff happening currently in the macro this morning. Let's start off with this. We got jobs data. So here is the jobs data we got this morning. I think it's like relatively bullish. I don't think it's that big of a deal, quite frankly. The market's kind of like, the market didn't really care that much about it. I mean, it was relatively flat when the jobs data came out. So initial jobless claims, 212,000 versus 215. So we have 3,000 less people applying for unemployment than what the market thought there would be. It is 1,000 above February, but it's 3,000 below expectations. Continuing jobless claims, 1.812 million versus 1.818 million. Again, slight beat. And then Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index, 15.4 versus 1.5 estimated. Now, why is this important? This jobs data showing that there are less people applying for jobs continues to create the narrative or affirm the narrative that labor is tight, unemployment is low and that people have jobs. And if people have jobs, they're going to be able to spend. Why is that good? Because company earnings will go up. People can afford to buy a Netflix subscription if they have money. However, it's not the best for inflation because people will keep spending money. And right now, inflation is being very sticky. S&P 500, 501 in the pre-markets. S&P was at 503-ish. So it fell a little bit on that data off the assumption that inflation was going to continue to be sticky. Bank of America yesterday said that we're not going to get the first rate cut until March 2025. If that happens, we're all screwed. Just like, if that happened, dude, if we don't get the first rate cut for fucking, that would basically be 9 months from now, 10 months from now. That would be tough, dude. I think it would be very hard to imagine it being pushed. I think we'll get at least one. I think the secular bull market, or I think we are in a secular bull market for the next couple of years, and including 2023. So I think we still have time for this bad boy to play out. And I think 2024 is going to be fine. I do think Bank of America put that out to kind of, I think they wanted cheaper shares because the only justification for not getting rate cuts until 2025 is if you think by the end of the year, inflation is at the current level, which is 3.5 headline. I don't think that's going to be the case. I know a lot of people are out there, and maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of people are out there as well. At least the bears are saying the Fed needs to hike. I don't think that's the answer. I don't think it's about the Fed hiking. If anything, we talked about yesterday, housing data suggests mortgage rates at 7.5. People don't want to sell their homes. The Fed needs to cut to be able to stimulate the ability for the housing market to open up, which would ironically reduce inflation. So I don't think a cut or a hike is what we need. I think we just need better data, which is what Jay Powell's saying. Remember, the 2-year is at 5%. The 10-year, the 2 years at 5, and the federal funds rate is at 5.5 or 5.25. So there is still a dislocation there between the 2-year and the Fed funds rate, and the 2-year is basically telling us, the market, that hey, we don't need interest rates to be that high, which means there's at least 25 basis points, in my opinion, to go from the Fed fund rate to the 2-year, which is like sort of the barometer for where interest rates should be. And that's, I think we're going to get one cut. I don't think it's going to be extended till March. I just think it's going to take inflation data coming down, which we're seeing some signs. Moving on to some other parts of the macro that I want to show, is starting to at least get there in the context of the right inflation data. Give me one sec. Is this still here? This thing is freezing up. Can you still hear me? Yes, you guys can. Okay, here we go. Maybe if this thing stops freezing. Dude, if you guys have been a part of the stream for like the past 2 weeks, this is like the third time that things have froze. And it's like weird, dude. This is a brand new Mac. I do not know why things are freezing so randomly when we go live. Like, we don't even have that many tabs open. Give it. Yeah, puts on Apple, dude. Puts on Apple. You guys can still hear me, right? Yeah, you guys can still hear me. It's so weird, dude. Either it's my computer or it's like legitimately StreamYard or something. Yeah, at least you guys can hear me. All right, give it one sec. It should be back to normal in a second. If not, I'm going to literally just exit this whole thing and restart this. I think we got to do some puts on Apple, dude. Yeah, you guys can hear me. It's the computer, but it's so sad that it's not the internet. I promise it's not the internet. The internet is fine. I feel like it's the computer, dude, and it's really weird. It shouldn't be the computer. It's not 8 gigabytes. It's not 8. Dude, I paid $2,500 for this. There's no way it's 8 gigabytes. It's not the Wi-Fi either. Yeah, you guys can hear me, but it's frozen. Okay, we're back. I don't know, dude. I don't know. This is weird. I don't know why it's acting like that, but if anything, I'll just close some tabs to maybe clear up some of the space, but I didn't have that many tabs open. I had like 7 or 8 tabs open. All right, we should be back. We should be good to go. Sorry about that, guys. So this is what I want to show you next in the context of macro data. Oil prices are starting to come down a little bit. So we got Brent crude at 87, which 87 is still a lot. WTI at 82. That one's significantly declining. It's down from 92 at the peak. It's down from 92. So excited to see that oil is coming down. What is the reason for oil coming down? There may be a little bit more inventory than we all thought that was being created, especially given the fact that Iran is now starting to export about 1.5 million barrels a day. So a little bit more inventory will reduce the amount of demand or reduce the prices because there's more supply less demand. That's a good thing for oil prices to come down. So it's good to see oil prices are starting to come down. The 10-year is basically flat, but that jobs data that we got is indicating, okay, people still have jobs. They have money. If they have money, they're going to spend. That means inflation is going to be a problem. If oil prices are starting to come down, and maybe by some, hopefully the shelter index starts to come down over the next 2 months, and if oil can come down, we might actually have a CPI that doesn't reflect 3.5, maybe get a little bit to 3.1, and then the rate cut can happen by September. But at least the job market is staying strong right now, even if that is going to negatively affect the hopes for inflation to come down. America's drilling. I don't think it's really about America drilling at this point. Maybe if Trump gets into office, it's going to be all about America drilling. But it's more so there is an inventory surplus of oil that we have right now, so demand is not as high as we needed to, as people thought. The camera doesn't like your shirt. That's the reason. Oh boy. I'm going to investigate this today, dude. It's really weird. Like, this is the third time. You guys have been part of the stream. Like, if you've been here for a couple weeks, this is the third or fourth time that it's just froze randomly. And I'm like, dude, you can't do that. Like, I gotta show these screens. Like, we can't have that happening. So we'll investigate that as well. Okay, let's do Netflix preview. So that was the update on the macro. S&P is up right now. Tesla's down. We'll talk more about Tesla in a little bit. If you're just joining, Tesla did get downgraded. 151.7. They got downgraded to $123. We'll see where it goes from there. MicroStrategy's up a little bit right now, 1.46%. We'll talk about Bitcoin after this. Netflix after the bell today. I think Netflix is going to. Let's get an update on what the street thinks is going to happen to Netflix, and we'll be covering that earnings call live on the channel today.
But I'm looking with the analyst estimates. Analysts only see about a 3% upside for this stock going forward. What are you expecting?
Well, I wish I had a crystal ball, and I think those analysts all wish they did too, because they really don't have any idea where this stock is going. It's a relative multiple game now. There's a lot of advocates for Netflix out there who think it should be in the Great 8. It should not be the Magnificent 7, but the Great 8, and that Netflix unfairly got banished from FANG and not into the Magnificent 7. It should be one of these A-grade stocks out there, or at least replace Tesla, because it's just performing so well and it's off the charts. But they've got the same problem that you indicated earlier about institutional investors pulling money out of the market. Has it come too far too fast? I mean, it's basically tripled in about 2.5 years, and that's an amazing move. And we're short the calls on the stock, covered calls to protect its out the money. We don't want to lose the stock, but we've been trying to clip a few coupons in the meantime. So they've got.
So his argument is, look, Netflix has run up way too much. I think they're up, 26% year to date. So from that perspective, there's not that much more room to run. I agree. Like, I'm not going to disagree with that. The thing is that I think a lot of people aren't thinking about on the street, or maybe they're thinking about it, but they still think the premium is too high. I think every other streamer has not proven the streaming model. Streaming is a cutthroat competitive business. You're spending billion. I think Netflix spent $20 billion last year just on licensing and making the content. And then you somehow have to become profitable. Netflix is profitable. They have the least amount of debt out of all the streamers. They have the best content, even though I don't like watching Netflix too much. They have the best content. They're better than Paramount, which is going to get bought out soon, better than HBO, etc. And they've done it consistently. Like, they have a Stranger Things, they have a You, they have a Love is Blind, whereas HBO, they have a Game of Thrones, right? And then, like, you kind of forget about them for years. So from that perspective, I think Netflix beat on their last quarter by 5 million subscribers. The street wanted 8 million. They brought in 13 million. So something happened. I don't think it was just increased marketing. You don't add 5 million more subs because you launched a good marketing campaign. I think there is a disproportionate amount of people, in the case of last earnings, 5 million, that wanted conflicts, that was wanted content that was exclusively on Netflix. And if that trend continued over the last 90 days, Netflix is going to crush again. Now, maybe the stock doesn't really have a lot of momentum in it because it's already up 30% year to date, and the street and the macro already, right? The street's going to chill a little bit, but their advertising tier is becoming more profitable for them. And I think their subscriber growth is going to be well. Overall, the company's probably going to produce another, 800 million in profits this quarter, which means I think that it's going to be pretty attractive to see how Netflix has earnings. And if they do a good job on earnings, we will start officially big tech earnings with a bang, which should be pretty good. So that's what we have in the context of Netflix. Now, Taiwan Semi, what happened with Taiwan Semi? So that was also a very big earnings this morning. They crushed as well. So Taiwan Semi, they beat on revenue, or the net revenue rose 16.5% year over year, which is not easy to do. So $18 billion, right? This is a pretty big company. People forget Taiwan Semi is a $700 billion company. It's not a small company at this point. So 16.5% year over year, and net income, that's profits, increased 9% year over year. They guided first quarter revenue to be about 18 to 18.8 billion. They brought in 18.87 billion. So CFO said for the second quarter of 2024, we expect our business to be supported by strong demand for industry-leading 3 nanometer and 5 nanometer technologies, partially offset by a continued smartphone seasonality. We saw that in Apple's numbers of their smartphone sales just not being as strong as it was before. He also said almost all of the AI innovators are working with TSMC to address an insatiable AI-related demand for energy-efficient computing power, adding that the firm estimates a revenue contribution from server AI processors to more than double this year. They also said it's going to be a healthy growth year, and our technology leadership and broad customer base is going to bring revenues to stronger multiples. Why is this so important? It continues to prove the multiple that we are giving to a TSMC, a NVIDIA, and SMCI are not BS. It's real, and they deserve to get those multiples, which is why we're seeing getting that right now. Chris says most cell phone companies tie Netflix and other subscriptions into fringe benefits. That's also true. I remember when I signed up for Verizon back in 2019, we got Disney Plus free for a year, and we never canceled it since. And I think if we had not gotten Disney Plus that year, we probably would have never signed up for Disney Plus. But the fact that we got it for a year, kept us there. And now, like, the only time I watch Disney Plus is on like Christmas. Like, we watch like I'd never watched Disney Plus outside of that. So that is another way that I think Netflix and T-Mobile basically had that deal, and that's allowed them to be able to gain more benefits. TSM right now in the pre-market, not the best. It's down 2.91%. This company is up 40% year to date, 720 billion. I think the fact that they're down is just, it's kind of like a CrowdStrike that fell. Like, it wasn't really a bad earnings, or a Palo Alto. It wasn't a horrible earnings. The guidance was worse in Palo Alto than it was in TSM. TSM's guidance is phenomenal. It's just the stock's up a lot. And unless you have like some ridiculous number that beats, the street can't really justify continuing to buy at those valuations. NVIDIA, it does beg the question. ASML, they shit the bed on their earnings, but that's a quarterly thing. That's a company thing. That's not a sector thing. TSM did not shit the bed on their earnings, but they still fell. NVIDIA, I don't think is going to shit the bed. I think they're going to crush, but the question is at 848 and 900. Well, we know this thing can run to 900 because the street was happily buying this at 900 for the past couple of weeks. Does it have the momentum to break through to $1,000, which is what I think psychologically would put NVIDIA at a new level? Right now, $2.1 trillion market cap. If it gets close to 1,000, it's going to be at that $2.7, $2.8 trillion market cap. And it'll be really interesting to see how their earnings plays out as well. So we will see what happens in the context of NVIDIA as well. SMCI right now in the pre-market is up a little bit, 0.42%. Robinhood up a little bit in the pre-market. Robinhood had a phenomenal V-shaped recovery yesterday. If you caught the bottom at like 1630 or what, 1646, that was the bottom. I mean, look at that V-shape. Fell all the way from 1730 to 1646 and then rebounded here to 1729. Right now, 1711. The interesting thing about Robinhood, and we'll go to the crypto stocks right now since we're on the topic of Robinhood. Bitcoin, 62,000. Bitcoin fell to 59,703. You guys can see that right here. 59,703. And it lasted for a couple seconds, right? 59,703, and then boom, bounced all the way right there to 61,000. Then it fell back a little bit again right now here at 62.2, was at 63 this morning. So the wick down to 59,000 back to that 100-day moving average was really, I mean, it was eaten up very easily. The street was happily able, or not the street, but investors were happily able to buy that dip. The problem here with Bitcoin right now at 62,000 is that these ETF inflows again are disgusting. They are just absolutely atrocious. If you look at this right here, ARK yesterday lost $42 million, dude. People took out $42 million from Cathie's ARK Bitcoin fund. Bitwise, they lost 7.3 million. Fidelity got zero. They got no money. BlackRock somehow managed to get 18 million bucks. And then stupid Grayscale sold another 133 million. So the net outflows from the ETFs were $165 million worth of Bitcoin. I think that's what, a couple thousand Bitcoin that they had to sell yesterday, which is not good on the system, especially on an already red day for Bitcoin. So the fact that it's holding above 60, I think is actually quite impressive because the ETF inflows have become so bad. The halving event is in a couple of days. Kind of makes sense that we're seeing a bit of this momentum to the downside. We shared that chart yesterday that usually a month after the halving, we're down a couple percentage points. And then a year after, it's usually up about 200 to 300%. So right now here, Bitcoin is 62,000. I think the other thing is we probably want Bitcoin lower before the halving than higher. I mean, most people, even the most bullish of bulls, did not expect a 62,000 Bitcoin before the halving. I mean, most people thought maybe 45, 50-ish based on where we were last year we would get before the halving. We hit all-time highs before the halving, and now we're here at 60 grand. So it's not the craziest thing to expect, but the problem is by 65, 66, 67, 68, 70, not everyone, but a lot of people, I think to the tune of about $3 billion worth of Bitcoin went leveraged long. And so the market makers were like, yeah, we're not letting that happen. And, things collapse. MicroStrategy here up 1%, Bitfarms up 5.32%. I think the reason why the crypto stocks are up right now and a company like Robinhood is not getting decimated, even though Bitcoin is going down, A, because they're starting to outperform outside of just the Bitcoin narrative, but B, if Robinhood was 17 bucks when Bitcoin was 70,000 and Robinhood is now 17 bucks when Bitcoin is 62,000, it kind of gained some momentum just in terms of stability in the stock, and it got a little bit detached from Bitcoin itself. Same thing with CleanSpark right here. CleanSpark was 15 bucks back when Bitcoin was a little bit higher. Now Bitcoin's a little bit lower. CleanSpark is not going lower with it, right? Not going to $11 or $10. It's kind of staying at that $15 level, even though it's down from $24. That's good. I think that's really bullish for the miners and for the price action on some of these crypto stocks as well. Coinbase at 216, Marathon at 1473, Hut 8 Mining at 744, 750 in the pre-markets, and then Cypher here at 353 right now. Let's look at Mag 7 and see what's going on with these guys. Nick Piercy says, Amit, will all the ETFs also get cut in half? It depends if Bitcoin gets cut in half. I mean, again, the halving event in general is going to decrease the amount of dilution by 50%. If Bitcoin actually does fall aggressively, then yeah, the ETFs are going to dump. I mean, the ETFs, quite literally, they track Bitcoin very well because they're spot Bitcoin ETFs, right? So they track the movement correctly. I didn't expect ARK to lose $43 million of outflows. That means a lot of retail investors just paper-handed their ETFs yesterday, at least the ARK ETF. But if Bitcoin does not go up, these ETFs are going to get hit over the coming weeks. But if Bitcoin stays flat, then the ETFs will stay flat as well, which is the benefit of the ETF. Microsoft up a little bit in the pre-market, 412, Meta 498, Google 157, Amazon 181, Nvidia 847, Tesla 151.20, and then Apple here at 167.62. Put in the chat, do you think Tesla goes below 150 today? Do you think, let's do a poll. Let's do a poll on that. Do you think Tesla goes below 150 today? Let's see, Tesla below 150. I kind of think it's going to happen, but then I think it's going to get eaten up really quickly, dude. I feel like that's how it's going to play out. But if it doesn't get eaten quickly, if this shit just like falls like a knife, I mean, it's already been a falling knife. Dude, Tesla's down 40% year to date. At January 3rd, it was $245. Also, let me show you guys this. It was $245. Now it's $151. Let me show you what Tesla put out yesterday. So you know how Elon Musk has this new compensation package that they want everyone to approve, which is going to be approved. I don't think there's any controversy there. Let me show you what they put out yesterday. So they put out this document. Basically on the website that is supposed to convince shareholders to vote yes on the thing. So let me show you this right here on the compensation package. So let's pull this up right here. Someone says Tesla will go bankrupt. Okay, it's not going bankrupt. Wow, 80% of the chat says yes, it's going below 150. Why are you guys so bearish, dude? Holy crap. That is bear. Where's Palantir as well in the pre-market? Where's Palantir? Palantir 21.31. Dude, let's see if we can hold above. If we fall below 21 today, that would be interesting on Palantir as well. All right, so here's what Tesla put out yesterday. So this is like a infomercial to learn about Elon's proposed like compensation thing, right? So if you click on this right here, this is what they put out. Now, what I thought was really interesting, right? They said the 2018 CEO Performance Award did what it was designed to do, and they showed the total shareholder return from 2018 to the year end of 2023. Now, why do they show the year end of 2023 versus the current price? Because it's not up 1,097% anymore, as you can see right there. it's up. I think it's a little bit less than that, or it's like 800%, 700%. But the point is, the chart doesn't look as amazing as it looked. You see how this $23 was at 100. This peak would be closer to like a little bit lower right now. Now, granted, I think there was a 5-year compensation package, so they don't have to show 2024. But the point is, they're trying to convince the average shareholder, hey, Elon did what he had to do, which of course he did, and he deserves this money. I just thought it was interesting how Tesla kind of laid this out. They said revenue is 175 billion, which is 15x 2017 levels. Adjusted EBITDA at 14.8 billion. He obviously hit all the goals he was supposed to hit, and nearly 1,100% total shareholder return in 5 years. Therefore, Elon Musk creates tremendous value for stockholders. And the idea is you should vote for that because he did that, which I will vote yes to. But it will be funny to see what the percentage of the split will be. I think it's going to be 85-15. I think 85% of shareholders will vote yes to it and 15% will vote no. But I think ultimately he will win. All right, what's the vote on the poll? Wow, 82%. 293 people voted. 82% said yes. 18% said no. Matt says the thesis has broken in front of everyone's eyes, and instead of accepting it, everyone is trying to justify it. I don't think the thesis is broken. I think the thesis has going on a temporary delay. I think the thesis was always robotaxis, and now that robotaxis are becoming real, we're living through the thesis. The M2 is obviously, I think it's totally scrapped. And the one thing that pisses me off about Tesla bulls is every time you say, okay, he's going all in on robotaxis, the M2 is gone. People they're like, no, it's the same car. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. No, it's like you just sound like an idiot right now. Like, no, there is a certain plan he had about the M2 that was told to shareholders. That's not happening anymore. It's robotaxis. I don't know how many more tweets he has to fucking like for people to believe that. That's not the same car. And if it is the same car, you can't do both at once. Like at some point you have limited resources. By the way, you just laid off 14,000 people. There's no way you can do both at once. So he made a decision. And if you're a Tesla bull, you have to agree with the decision, or you can disagree, but you have to at least objectively agree that there is a decision. There's not both at the same time. So that's what does get me a little mad with the Tesla bulls. It's like he decided. He's going balls to the wall. Literally, that's what he said. He's going balls to the wall on autonomy. And if that's the case, then we have to live in that world when it comes to robotaxis. Speaking of going balls to the wall, Boston Dynamics is going balls to the wall on humanoid robots. Take a look at the newest 30-second video they put out yesterday. That's crazy, dude. We're going to play it again, and I'll be talking here. This thing gets up. It is unlike any of the humanoid robots I've seen before. Look at that. Look at its legs, dude. Look at its legs. Everything is basically a 360 swivel, including the legs and the torso. I'm confused where the hell, like the battery has to be in the torso. There's no way the battery is not in the torso. Otherwise, like the batteries are pretty big. I don't know where they would put the batteries, but Lang Focus says admit at the gym. That's exactly me at the gym, dude. That's literally me at the gym. But it's pretty insane, dude. The robots are absolutely coming, and it is time to see what happens. So the pie in the sky theory about why Elon, I was talking to a friend about this yesterday, why Elon got rid of 10% of employees, and this is such bullshit, but I think it's pie in the sky, is that Optimus is getting so good that he doesn't need he doesn't need people, right? Because if Boston Dynamics has robots that are getting that good, maybe Elon's not showing us any progress on Optimus, and maybe the freaking bot is the rabbit he's gonna pull out of his hat. No one's gonna expect it, and that bot is gonna be one of the most exciting elements of Tesla, and it's gonna create a ridiculous premium because we all know the unit economics on the bot are insane. So again, that's probably not gonna happen. But if it did, could you imagine if Steve was right? Could you imagine Steve invested in Tesla because of the bot, and he got ridiculed for months on Finance Junkies for investing because of the bot? What if he's right? What if I was talking to him yesterday as well, and he was like, yeah, I'm buying it because of the stupid bot. And I'm like, all right, we're going to keep buying it. Elon is Optimus, correct. Elon is literally Optimus. Speaking of the bot, so here's one thing I want to show you guys as well, and then we got the market open in 6 minutes. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Main news of the day, Tesla got downgraded to $123. They're down 3% right now in the pre-markets, 150.92. We will see if they go below 150 in just 5 minutes. I did not know. I was speaking to another friend yesterday. They told me this fact, and I could not believe it. I thought a company I thought there have been no companies on planet Earth that have gone public at $1 trillion. I thought there's no way a company on planet Earth in my lifetime has gone public at $1 trillion. I was wrong. In 2019, Saudi Aramco, put in the chat if you actually knew this, went public at $1 trillion, 1.8 trillion to be exact. And I was flabbergasted by this. I did not know. They raised $25 billion. They only sold 1.5% of the company. The Saudi government owns 90% of the company. And they went public at 1.87 trillion. Now, why was this so surprising to me? I started thinking, what are companies that are private right now that could one day go public and be worth $1 trillion at IPO? Saudi was doing about 500 billion in revenue, so they had about a 4x multiple because they basically went public at 2 trillion, 1.87 trillion. So, the street gave them that 4x multiple on the 500 billion. So a company would have to be doing a minimum of like 300 to 450 billion in revenue to be able to get a 4x multiple times revenue to then go public at $1 trillion. And one of my good friends, Mr. Derek Wall, he commented and he says, yes, Figure, because we're speaking about robots, will be the biggest IPO in US history. I can see Figure hitting $1 trillion IPO with a $500 billion backlog of orders. I said this as well. And then we had one of the Tesla retail trolls comment underneath this. He says, in my opinion, Figure has more probability to be a failure than a success. And given the founder of Figure doesn't take any bullshit on Twitter, he doesn't give a fuck, Brett Adcock, he quote tweeted that. And he said, I grew up watching anti-Tesla supporters rooting against them to fail. I always felt they were so foolish and ignorant betting against progress. It's ironic now as Figure's biggest trolls are Tesla retail traders. And he's right about that. A lot of Tesla retail traders are bearish on Figure because they think that for some reason, if Figure, or Boston Dynamics or Apptronic figures out the robotics game, that Optimus is at a disadvantage. And I responded underneath that. I have the all caps, so you got to excuse the all caps, but I was excited about this. I was like, dude, this is crazy. It's wild. Instead of embracing competition with you guys and Optimus, they want you to fail instead of help advance the future of humanoids, which ironically helps Figure, Tesla, Boston Dynamics, everybody else. It's so sad to see, and Elon wouldn't even want them to act that way. Brett said, to be honest, I really enjoy all the shit talk. It keeps firing us up to work harder. And so I liked Brett saying that. And I was excited to see him kind of respond in this way, because basically he's saying these Tesla guys that at this point, he's basically, he's kind of been proven right that a lot of these people are delusional in terms of how they're thinking of just competition in the overall market. And many of them, the stock is not the reason they're delusional, but many times the things that they have said and how they've acted. And I'm a Tesla bull. I would assume I'm not a delusional Tesla bull. It spits in the face of like actual progress in the industry. And actual progress means you want a Figure, you want an Apptronic, you want NVIDIA's research team around robotics, you want Boston Dynamics, you want these guys to be competing. And if you don't want these guys to be competing, there's not going to be an entire industry for them to be able to gain a massive benefit off of. So it was really interesting to see that Boston Dynamics video. And it was also interesting to see how Brett was thinking of it. I think, by the way, in the context of Figure, I think Brett has a new fire up his ass after seeing that Boston Dynamics video, right? Like, I think he had to have a new fire up his ass seeing that Boston Dynamics video, because that robot was pretty impressive, dude. It wasn't talking or anything, but like they could plug in a LLM into that thing and then it'll start talking. So it was one of the most impressive humanoid robotic demos I've seen. The thing literally did a 360 as it woke up. We'll watch it one more time right before the market opened. It was absolutely insane, right? So I think everyone is going to get more competitive, including Elon and Optimus, and the Tesla retail traders go against all these new companies. They're going to have to reconcile the fact that there's competition, and it's good to have competition. And I also think a lot of Tesla bulls, they had no EV competition for so long, which is why they are against the competition. But competition is good at the end of the day. It's going to force Elon, Optimus, Figure, Apptronic, all these guys to work harder. And that's what we need in the entire industry. And so that's what we got. Chris says, admit, remember 0 to 1 Figure isn't doing anything unique. I disagree with you on that, Chris. I think Figure is doing something very, very unique. Humanoid robots are very difficult. They are not easy to build. They're definitely not easy to deploy. And they're absolutely not easy to be working in tandem with human beings. I think there's a handful of companies that are working on it. So, it's a semi-competitive space. But I think if they figure it out, basically the point is, the reason I brought up that whole Saudi Aramco thing, I think if Figure can figure it out, no pun intended, they could potentially be the first $1 trillion IPO if they have $500 billion in back orders, or the second $1 trillion IPO if they actually get those back orders. But We'll see if that plays out over the long term. Thursday, April 18th, 9:30 a.m. The stock market is now open. We're green, folks. We're green. S&P 501. Where's Tesla? Oh, boy. Here we go. Tesla's down, but it's staying above 151. Tesla's down, but it's staying above 151. 151.28. 151.28 right now. 151.40. Tesla's down 2.5%, but it's staying above that level. Robinhood 1716, they're green. Nvidia's green. SMCI is green. S&P is green. Palantir 2120. Okay, so Palantir's down. We got 20 cents to go before Chris tries to claim victory on his fucking $21 Palantir puts. AMD 155. DJT down 3%. IWM is up. QQQ is up. The reason I think these guys are up, jobs report wasn't horrible. Oil prices are coming down and the 10-year is flat. All of that gives us a recipe to at least not be red on the day, but rather be a little green, which is what we're seeing right now on the S&P 500, 501.97, up 0.28% on the day. Tesla right now, 152. Micron is down. Micron's down 1.4%. I think that's because TSM is down. Also, Micron got some government subsidies yesterday. I don't know why that would be a reason the stock is down, but I think the stock has also run like 35% over the past 3 weeks. So that's probably why it's taken a little bit of a breather. But TSM being down probably is affecting Micron just a little bit today, as Micron is down as well. So Tesla, we got 150. Tesla's holding up at 152. There are enough buyers coming in at 152 to buy this dip. The poll we have is 574 votes. 81% of everyone in the chat voted Tesla below 150 today. So let's see. We have another 6-7 hours or 5 hours left to go. We'll see if it can get there. ARM is getting destroyed. Where's ARM? Wow. Oh boy. ARM is down. We called this as a chat. We absolutely called the ARM decline when it was at 150. I think all of us in the chat now, I didn't buy puts. I know some of you bought puts, but I think all of us unanimously in the chat pretty much agreed that fucker at 150 was not staying at 150. And it's at 104 right now. Remember, it was at 75, I think, before it ran to 130 in 2 days. That's when Nvidia crushed earnings, and then it ended up running to 150, 160. This thing makes no sense still at $100 billion market cap. It makes absolutely no sense. I think the fair value of this is closer to $60, where they IPO'd at 51, because they haven't showed substantial revenue growth to justify a crazy multiple. Now, maybe at 100 it normalizes, but we definitely got this one right, guys. We definitely got this one right. This thing was not supposed to be at 150 over the past 3 months. Matt says my puts are printing. Yeah, if you got puts on this bad boy, you are up. You definitely are up if you got puts on this one. What else do we have in the crypto sector? Let's go to the crypto stocks. Coinbase is up. CleanSpark is up. MicroStrategy is up. Robinhood's up. Bitfarm's up. Hut 8's up. Bitcoin is flat, but it is up. And Ethereum went below 3,000 yesterday as well. So Ethereum got hit right now at 3,042. Interestingly enough, again, CleanSpark was 15 when Bitcoin was 67. So the fact that CleanSpark is still 15, even though Bitcoin is 62, it does signal that maybe the street is getting ready to buy these companies that are crypto catalyst oriented before the halving, because they know that this is probably the cheapest price they're going to get if Bitcoin explodes. Again, that's a big if. But if that does happen, then maybe that's the reason why these guys are green versus being red as well. So we got crypto companies being green. Let's see what else do we have on the Max 7. What do we have there? Max 7, Apple 168, Microsoft 409, Meta 500, Google 156, Amazon 180. Amazon falling from that 189 all-time high a week ago. Nvidia 846. Nvidia's green. And then Tesla staying above 151. Continuing to be above 151. Where's Palantir? Chris is having too much fun in the chat. Guys, we're 18 cents away from his stupid $21 puts. We've got to, at this point, I don't know how much buying we can do to stop that from happening, because if it's in a downward trend, it's going to be in a downward trend. Ironically, this is bullish before earnings, dude. I'd rather have Palantir at 20 before earnings versus 27. We just have more room to run going into earnings if the expectations aren't that high. But we are 13 cents away from Chris being in the money on these puts. And then if it goes to 16, because Chris has a put debit spread, the 5K he put into these puts, it'll turn into 20K, because 21 minus 5, or 25K, I think. Or I think he put in 4K, so it'll 5X basically if it goes down to $16, because 21 minus 16 is 5. So that'll be $5 times whatever his initial. I think his initial is like 4 or 5,000. So he will make 20 grand if Palantir goes to 16. I will lose 20 grand if Palantir goes to 16. So we've got to make sure. Oh my God, it's 7 cents away. Holy shit. It looks like it wants to take a little bit of a breather, guys. And look, we can't be that upset. It's had phenomenal price action. We really can't be that upset, but it might end up happening. And honestly, if it fell below 20, I wouldn't mind picking up shares below 20. But let's see. Let's see if that can actually happen. 21.04 right now on Palantir. Let's see, dude. Does it at this point? It looks like it's falling below 21. 3 cents away. Let's see. 21.02. It's like we're just staring at it now. Oh, there it is. There's the sell. 20 below 21. Below 21. Now let's see how long it lasts. That's the question. Let's see how long it lasts. How far does it really go down? The entire market is taking a little bit of the entire market is dumping. Entire market. Nvidia's red, SMCI is red, TSM is red, S&P is red, Tesla's red, 151.57. Now's the time to look at Tesla. Now that the market's dumping, does Tesla fall below 151? Robinhood's red, Google's red, DJT is red, IWM is red, QQQ is red, Pfizer is red, MicroStrategy red, Coinbase still green, PayPal's red, SoFi is red, Bitcoin still flat, and then CleanSpark is falling, but CleanSpark's still green on the day. Where's Palantir? 2096. Let's see. Can it go below 2050? And can it go below? If it goes below 20, now year to date, Palantir is up 23%, which still is incredible, dude. Most people thought by the end of the year, if it CAGR'd up 23%, we'd be happy. So it's up 23%. If it falls below 20, we're looking at more like up 15 to 17% year to date. 2086, it's falling. It's falling. Sell side pressure is here. Sell side pressure is here on Palantir. S&P going to fall below 500. Well, let's look at the S&P. Yeah, I mean, the S&P is probably falling below. It's 8 cents away from that level. Let's see. Let's see if that happens. You got Palantir below $21. Right now, S&P 500.18, Nvidia 836, Palantir $20.90 right now, $20.90. Tesla 150. All right, so Tesla's 87 cents away. This is the real one I want to see. I want to see if Tesla can actually get below. Can it actually get below? Celsius is 71.68. Celsius is up 1%. That's holding on. Robin at 16.99, just below 17. Ulta is down a little bit. Dell is down. Spotify is down. Chipotle. When is the Chipotle stock split happening? Weren't they supposed to split by now? This thing should be like $60 a share. I thought that was supposed to happen by now. So, okay. So I guess we're waiting on that to happen. Micron down a little bit. ARM down another 4%. And then Tesla here, 74 cents away. S&P below 500. There you go. S&P below 500. S&P below 500. Geist says, I just doubled my Tesla position. All right. Who's buying Tesla? Who's buying Tesla today at these prices? Who's doing it? Do you have the cojones to buy Tesla today? Or are you afraid of it being a falling knife? And look, I don't blame you if you don't have the cojones to buy Tesla today. It's scary, dude. Everyone says they want to buy the dip, but it gets scary when it's time to buy the dip. It's not easy. It's especially with all the negative catalysts we know that's coming up. It's not easy to buy on days like this. It's just not. So if you are buying, let me know. But I don't blame you if you are not. Things get scary around this time. Jeff says he bought $50,000 worth at 172. Lusty Picker says the dip has not finished yet. Lang focuses on DCing in. Chipotle stock is in July. Okay, so the split's going to come up in a couple months. Waiting till 135. Okay, here's a question for the chat. For all the people that say we're waiting for 140, waiting for 135, do you have any fear at all that the idea of waiting for a certain strike on your buy zone is going to be detrimental when it comes to actually getting the shares? Do you have any fear that when it comes to Tesla, this idea of waiting, given the stock is already down 40% year to date, is going to be a bad idea versus a good idea over the long term? How do you guys feel about that? We have Joseph, who bought Tesla today, DCAing as well. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's fine to have a price target, but it's also, I mean, if it doesn't hit the price target, this is what happened last time in January when it fell. Now, granted, January is a different time than now. The whole market was down. But in general, if we don't see the price, then it just might not ever get there. What can possibly pop Tesla stock until 8.8? That's a good question. It's a really good question. Until the robotaxis come, there's a good point to be made that maybe there's just not anything that can really keep the stock elevated. It's very fair. And that might be a reason to not buy it as well. That's a good point. Chris Patel says EVs are getting absolutely killed right now. Wouldn't touch Tesla, in my opinion. Well, here's the other thing about EVs, which goes to support Chris's thesis. I talked about this in the morning, but for those who weren't there and didn't see this data, March car sales in the EU. This is another reason why I think Tesla's down. It's not just the downgrade they got from Deutsche Bank today. They're down 30% in the past month. Tesla March EU registrations fell 30%, and overall EV registrations fell 11%. So 134,000 EVs were registered in the European Union in March, and out of those 134,000, Tesla got 30% less market share, which is their lowest drop in 16 months when it comes to the EU. So, oh, is it below? Oh my God, it's below. It's below. It's below. It's below. Look out below. Here we go. Here we go. It's time. Tesla stock is below $150. $149.53. There we go. Tesla is below the coveted 150. S&P is above 500, by the way. Robin at 1694, pound share $20.80. Tesla is below $150. Oh my goodness, dude. I mean, does it get eaten up? It's trying 149.9. It's trying, dude. It's trying to not be that falling knife down to the 145s. Could you imagine, dude? Could you imagine 138 or 137 on Tesla? Oh my God. Oh, there it is, right back above 150. There was enough people ready to buy. Where's Rivian if Tesla's at this point? Where's Rivian? Rivian must be below 9. Rivian 845. Okay. Lucid is still below 3, I imagine. Lucid 230. And then Neo has to be, I'm saying Neo is 378. Damn, I was close. I was 10 cents off. 388. Neo's 388. Wow. Look at the right-hand side of my screen. Everything's red. Everything's red. The only thing that's green is Alaska Airlines, which, by the way, I don't know what the hell's going on with the airlines. Delta's up 15%. United was up 15% yesterday. Not overall. Yesterday they were up 15%. They're up another 3% today. And then Alaska's up 44%. Where's Southwest? Love, that's their handle. Southwest is up 1.5%. And then Spirit, is Spirit up? Spirit's up a little bit. Something with the airlines, dude. I guess travel demand is back into consideration, but airlines have been doing really well over the past few months. AMD is 153, DJT 2478. Walmart is up today. Walmart 5976. Okay, Walmart's up. SMH, the semis ETF, that's down 1.7%. Dell 116, Oracle 117, Arc Innovation 4277. By the way, Cathie Woods bought 64,000 shares of Tesla yesterday. So she spent about 10.2 million on Tesla yesterday as well. Tesla here still below $150. Tim says, why are you so dramatic? Dude, we got to be dramatic when it comes to this stuff. Like, these are the moments where you've got to up the drama here. I mean, this is a big milestone, dude. Below 150, that's a big deal. By the way, if Tesla was above 300, that would be a big deal as well, to the upside or the downside. Like, these are huge milestones. I think psychologically below 150. You know who's the happiest person in the world right now? Put in the chat. Who do you think is the happiest person in the world? Who do you think is literally the happiest person in the world right now because Tesla's down? There's one person, and his name starts with a meat. It's not Amit. A lot of people pronounce my name Amit instead of Amit, but it's not me. It's someone else. Chris Patel. Yes, it's also Chris Patel. Chris Patel. That is also Chris Patel. But meet Kevin, dude. He's got to be that. Is he still live right now? Is he reacting to this? Do we want to react to meet Kevin? Yeah, let's react to him. He's talking Tesla. Oh, this has got to be great. We got to react to him. Okay, let's react to him for a little bit. Let's just see how he's talking about this.
What else is going on? What is that? There's BTC actually, and that's both track.
Oh no, let's react to him at the open. He was just, when I was on him, he was just reacting to Tesla. Let's react to him right at the open. Let's see. How long was the open? It's 9:44, so 14 minutes ago. Let's see what he had to say, dude. I want to know what he had to say. He must be loving this shit, dude. He has to be loving this shit so much. If we can get the right reaction. If not, we'll just move on. Oh my God, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. He's got to be loving this, dude. He's absolutely got to be loving this. Let's see if we can get it here.
For the AI boom. Nothing to see. He actually, because I don't think this.
I'll try to get back to it later. When I clicked on it, he was reacting to Tesla. He was like, "Oh, it's getting absolutely destroyed." I thought we were at the right timestamp. I'll get to it in a second. But yeah, he's happy. He's got to be happy. Wow, below 149. Below 149. Oh my God. Oh my God. 148. 140. Oh, Gordon Johnson. Sorry, forget Meet Kevin. Someone else is much happier. Gordon Johnson reduced his price target from freaking 24 to like 23 yesterday. It was quite funny. It was quite funny to see how that played out. Oh boy, there you go. 148. 148.57 right now on Tesla. Now, remember, again, the EU car sales were down. Deutsche Bank, their downgrade was significant today as well. But on top of that, Elon's ball to the wall tweet that he put out yesterday on autonomy, the Deutsche Bank dude quoted that tweet inside of his report. So it's not just us analyzing his tweets. It's also the Wall Street guys looking at his tweets, reading it. Obviously, they're public. And they're like, well, yeah, it's probably, if he's going balls to the wall on autonomy, then he's forgetting the M2, which means we need to basically factor that into our valuation model. And that's what you got. You got these people that are going to be afraid that the M2 is going to be gone forever, or at least gone for a long time, later than 2025. S&P right here at 500. And that means they can't really build a valuation model on Tesla. Cathie Wood can, but Deutsche Bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, JP Morgan, these guys are not going to do that. PayPal's red, SoFi's red, Bank of America's 35.49, Coinbase 217, United Health Group. Wow, these guys are up another 3%. These guys have had a great week since earnings. They're up about almost 8% since earnings. Netflix after hours. Make sure you're here for the market close. We'll be covering Netflix. Going to be really interesting to see how Netflix has their earnings. I think they're going to crush on their numbers. Stock might not get rewarded because they're up 30% year to date, but we'll see. Where's Palantir? Is Palantir holding 21? Palantir 2084. All right, so it's not like literally falling right through the 20s. It's still getting eaten up at $20.85. We'll see if it can recover a little bit towards the end of the day. But Palantir definitely getting hit a little bit. Nvidia's green. Is Nvidia green? Nvidia 842. Nvidia's green. Investors are buying the Nvidia dip. They are not buying the Tesla dip. Tesla's still 149.52. Wow. Wow. Someone says you'd rather have Palantir at 20 versus 27 going into earnings. Makes zero sense. So the reason it makes sense to me, or like the reason conventionally you want to stock below the all-time highs, is because then it has room to run. So like Netflix at 620 at all-time highs, or all-time highs is 700, but you know what I mean. 700 was like goofy numbers. It's harder for Netflix to gain a premium after the earnings, right? So if the earnings are really good for Palantir, you would expect them to run, but if it's at 27, everything's baked in, is the point. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? 27 right now or 27 later. But the point is you just want them to have some momentum. And if it's at that level, it's going to be hard to get that momentum. CleanSpark right now is green. Wow. CleanSpark's green. Robinhood, not green, but at $17. And then Coinbase as well. They are green. Is Bitcoin running? I think Bitcoin's running a little bit. Yeah, Bitcoin running a little bit, up 1%. Bitcoin's up 1%, and that's what's helping some of the crypto stocks right now. SoFi says it does matter. You are in the stocks to make money. Well, that's also true. If you're buying before earnings, then it really does matter, right? Because if you're buying Palantir at 27 before earnings, it's harder to get it to 30. Whereas if you're buying at 20, it's easier to get it to 23 or 24. This is a great price for institutions to buy Palantir, 100%. What I'm curious about is, were these institutions dumping, or was retail dumping over the past, basically over the past few months, right? Or not past few months, but few weeks, right? Like what was actually dumping? Was it retail? Was it institutional? Because it kind of feels a little retail driven from 27 to 20, but maybe, institutional driven, but maybe it was less institutional and it was dumb money, just getting rid of it, people that didn't understand it, and retail started buying it up or institutions started buying it up at these levels as well. And I think we will find out probably in the coming months. Let's get an update here on Netflix. Let's look at what CNBC is saying and what they think is, or not Netflix, on Tesla, and see how they're thinking of this thing below 150.
174 billion is where I've got them right now. And they are going to be issuing, 56 billion shares to Elon Musk if and when shareholders approve that compensation package, Jim.
Well, is there a clause which says that you can actually cut his compensation package because of the stock? or is that just beyond
No,
the pale?
it's all based
does it
on
matter that it's
previous targets having been met as a result of the 2018 package that was put in place, that was already voted on by shareholders, but somehow rejected by a Delaware court.
In reality, I think that he deserves it because that's what the contract said. And there's a lot of baseball players who get $250 to $300 million, and it doesn't matter if they stink. It's a contract, and it should be honored. I didn't understand how this whole thing happened. He deserves the money because the contract said he's entitled. David, how did that happen?
Well, the Delaware court, in its ruling, it came back to the board of directors and their belief that many of those directors who voted on that compensation package.
Elon's going to get the compensation package. I don't think that's the question. The question is going to be, well, I mean, the only way he doesn't get the compensation package, Tesla right now at 150, getting back to that 150 levels. If Tesla were to get to like 100 before June, which is when people have to vote, I think maybe there's a chance he doesn't get the money. Like, do you guys think that if Tesla gets to 100 by June, so that would be a drawdown of about 66%, 70% from the all-time high. Does Elon still get the compensation package? I think he still gets it, but if the stock's at $100, that means since 2018, the stock has only tripled. Yeah, only tripled since then. Maybe quadrupled, I think, around that doubling or tripling, a little bit more than tripled, which means does someone deserve $50 billion for doing that? I mean, you got to, that's a real question, right? If Elon, when the company was 50 billion, right now, what's the stock? Stock's at 478. Stock goes to 100. I believe the stock goes down to about 350 or 300 billion. He basically 4 or 5x the company, maybe a little less than that if my math is off. Does someone deserve 50 billion for doing that? Because that's not the same as 20xing the company, like he did at the peak. I don't know. I would still vote for it because at the end of the day, I think if Elon leaves, the whole thing falls apart. So I think people have to vote for it. But I wonder if the people would feel a little scared to give him that much money if Tesla has not done as well as they wanted it to happen. Amit, what do you think about Kogon Leo adding 600,000 shares to his Tesla position, making his share count 27.6 million shares? That's a really good question. I just found out about this guy over the past couple of days because I saw his tweet. I feel like I knew about this guy a while ago, but I never paid too much attention to him. So this is a dude who is Tesla's third largest retail investor, from my understanding, and he bought 600,000 shares of Tesla. This guy's like I guess filthy rich or whatever. I don't know how he got this rich, but he has 27.6 million shares, and he bought another 600,000 at about $165, I believe. That's when he bought. And so yeah, he bought a lot more shares. I think I don't know what his average. Does anyone know what his average is? Does anyone know when he started buying shares? How much does he actually have? So this is what he said right here. Yes, I do. Moreover, I just increased my portfolio from 27 million to 27.6 million shares of Tesla, so I added 600,000 shares. If that's the case at the current level, we're talking about billions that he has in the company. And so there's obviously people that are bullish, very bullish. It's just a question of, can this thing maintain these levels? Struggling at 150 right now, 149, 150. Palantir working its way back up to $20.92, trying to maintain that level. Robin at 17, S&P 500, 500. S&P still green. MicroStrategy is green. AMD is green. So we're not seeing a ridiculous decline in the broader market. On Tesla, yes, they were down 4%. But the market itself, again, oil prices being down today was really good for the market not being that bad. Benny says, why is everybody trying to time the bottom for Tesla? You got to remember, dude, timing the bottom is fun. Even though everyone hates doing it, timing the bottom is super, super fun. If you get the bottom, I mean, it's fun, dude. Put in the chat a stock that you've got the bottom on, a stock that you just crushed on. You saw it, other people didn't see it. You bought it up at the bottom and you made a shitload of money. What is a stock that people in the chat have got the bottom on? Now, granted, you don't get those very often. It happens maybe. I mean, I don't even have any statistical analysis on this, but it happens once in a while, right? Where you get something and no one else sees it, and boom, you got the bottom, or you're greedy when others are fearful. But the reason it's hard to do it is because it's very difficult to do. But if you do it, if you get the Tesla bottom, you kind of look like a G. You know what I'm saying? You look like an OG if you get the job done. Siraj, thank you for the $5 super chat. And Mick, can you see when the bill regarding TikTok will be passed, not passed? So many people buying Snap calls for next week at crazy high strike prices. I'm happy you brought that up. We'll talk about Snapchat in a second. That bill is going to the Senate, I think today or tomorrow. I'll show you some coverage on that. I was going to talk about that in a little bit as well. So I don't know if Snapchat is the company to buy calls on. I think that's degenerate and stupid because Snapchat's financials are disgusting. But maybe there is a pop in Snapchat and Meta because TikTok gets banned. But that bill is going to the Senate either today or tomorrow, and it will be voted on within the next week, I would imagine. So we'll talk about that in just a second. All right, what do we have in the chat? Lewis says SoFi right now. You can't say SoFi right now. You don't know if SoFi is the bottom. You don't know if SoFi has to go up at least to $12 to say it's the bottom. So SoFi doesn't count. Are you buying them when you think Tesla is at the bottom? Dude, I don't have money. So first of all, I do think given the recent developments over the past couple of weeks, maybe Tesla has some more downside room to come below 149. But even if it goes to 130 right now, I don't have money. I'm tapped out. So at this point, I really can't buy. I would have to sell other stuff, which maybe I would do. But yeah, right now, I still think we could have some downside to go, especially if Elon just is a dick on the earnings call, which he's probably going to be. Microsoft, you got at the bottom, Lena. What's your average on Microsoft? You probably got it at 200 back in 2022 then. Palantir at 7. That's amazing. I think a lot of us got Palantir closer to the bottom. Palantir at 5. It hit 596 at one point one day. So Palantir did get to that $5 level at one point. Why don't you do cash secured puts on Tesla? Well, you need 100 shares times $149. So you do need some collateral to be able to do that, which is why it's a little harder to do the cash secured puts on Tesla. Palantir at 7. People got Meta at the bottom. That's great. SoundHound at 158. Where's SoundHound right now? We haven't talked about SoundHound in a while. SoundHound 3.9. Okay, so SoundHound, you're still up basically double, even though it's fallen from $10, which is not bad. Oh, wow. We got some. I know in the chat, we do have some OG Tesla holders. Put in the chat if you are an OG Tesla person, from 2017, 2018. Beach Cow right here says they have Tesla at $21. I believe it because I've asked this question many times, and I do know the chat. We do have some pretty OG Tesla bulls here of people that got it early on 4 or 5 years ago. So put in the chat if you have your average on Tesla at a decent price. We got Derek Wall, Mr. Derek Wall, good friend of the channel. He has IPO on Tesla. I know I personally know he has been in this stock since the very beginning. He's been a very staunch Elon supporter, but even he can recognize that there's some issues going on right now in Tesla, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. Even when the biggest bulls, the IPO holders who believed in Tesla from the beginning, can recognize that there's some downside. And it's not just Derek. I mean, even Vitaly, right? Vitaly sold, I think he said he sold 10 or 15% of his Tesla stake at 185. At the time, we all made fun of him on Finance Junkies, right? Because we were all calling him paper handing because he makes fun of us for paper handing all the time. So we're he finally paper handed something. But I mean, we got to give it to Vitaly. He sold at the right moment at 180. Now he doesn't have an average from the IPO, right? So he has a good average, but it's not an IPO average. But at 180, it made sense to take some profits. This thing was falling down. I'm Beneficial says I bought a Bitcoin for $400 off a vending machine 15 years ago. Holy crap, dude. That's amazing. By the way, there was a Bitcoin vending machine partnership in some store. I forgot the name of the store, but I saw the partnership and they're expanding to 26 different locations. So yeah, Bitcoin is continuing to grow. Derek says he has a $2 average on Tesla. Goodness gracious, dude. Fuck. Goodness gracious. Well, let's look at the all-time chart on Tesla. Let's look at the all-time chart. Tesla stock, and then we'll talk about the Tesla, the TikTok thingy. So Tesla stock all time. This is what IPO holders had to deal with. It IPO'd at $1.28 in July 2010. So if you got in the IPO, yeah, you basically have a $2 average for basically 3 years. You were flat, and then finally by 2015 you were up 14x if you bought at the IPO. And then at 2019, you were flat. So from 2015 to 2019, you're flat. 2015, $14. 2019, $14. I bought Tesla here, by the way, as well. Then I sold it at $30 because I had a double. And I was like, oh my God, I made 100% of my money. I should sell. I was like, that was dumb. But then from here, you got to 360, 414, I think was the top, 407, November 2021. So if you were a Tesla holder, you had to wait through a lot of shit until it actually exploded. And now it's at the same level that it's at from November 2020. So over the past 4 years, there's been basically no price action or price appreciation if you didn't sell at the top, which is the hard thing to reconcile with when it comes to Tesla. Tesla IPO was 17. Yeah, but you got to remember the stock splits. They've done 3 stock splits since then, or 2 stock splits, a 5-for-1 and then a 3-for-1. So that's why it's down back at these levels. What else do we have? Max Lopez just bought 5 shares at 150.25. Where's Tesla right now? Let's see. And then we'll talk TikTok. 150.28. All right, Tesla's at 150. Nvidia's up a little bit. Palantir trying to get back to 21. And Rivian's down. Lucid's down. S&P. Are we red on the S&P? We are green on the S&P. Okay, so let's talk about TikTok. And Snapchat right now. Snapchat's up 5%. So this to me is irrationality in the market. I don't think there's any reason Snapchat should be up. The financials are disgusting. Stock-based compensation is disgusting. Profitability is disgusting. Business model is absolutely broken. However, the market might be thinking it's at a bottom and they might be betting on this TikTok thing to build momentum. I don't think they're investing in it to invest. I think they're investing in it for the potential call option. So Jacob Hellberg, who is a senior advisor to none other than Dr. Alex Karp, he put out this morning, this is him with the Speaker Johnson, the Speaker of the House. He put out this morning, this is a ad in some newspaper. Dear Senators, TikTok is a Chinese weapon and it's time to divest it from CCP control. So Vinod Khosla, who's the founder of Khosla Ventures, a really big Silicon Valley VC firm, he co-signed this with Jacob Hellberg. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because the TikTok bill is going to the Senate, is what Jacob says, because it has all the votes. So breaking the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Applications Act to divest TikTok from CCP is included in the 21st Century Peace Through Strength Act. So if this makes it to the Senate, which it looks like it will, the Senate will vote on if we should ban TikTok or not. If that is the case, then I think Meta and Snap get a move. Would I be willing to make a leveraged options bet on that? Not really, because what if TikTok doesn't get banned? Or what if TikTok gets quote unquote banned, but it's not really banned. It's just like outside of the CCP's control and now someone has to buy it. Like it's technically not really going to benefit Meta or Snapchat because it's not like it's being eliminated from the United States economy, right? So I think unless you read the bill from end to end and you know exactly like if they ban it, then tomorrow you can't open TikTok on your phone. I don't know if that makes sense to take a leverage bet on Snap or Meta on this catalyst, but it looks like the market is definitely doing it right now as well. Rick got Shopify at $27. I love it. Shopify at one point got to $170. It has taken a nice haircut since then, but Shopify right now, $69. Tomorrow, we'll do the second episode of me and TJ wheeling options. We have this $100,000 wheel strategy. We have 5 cash secured puts at a $65 strike expiring on May 10th. We put up $32,000 in collateral. We got about $1,200 from that. So it looks like those puts so far are doing well. And we have theta decay on our side as time passes and Shopify stays above $65. We should be able to capture most of that premium. So we'll do an update podcast tomorrow on what's going on with that Shopify play as well. And I'm going to pitch him a new stock. So I'm going to pitch him a new stock to wheel, and we'll see how that goes tomorrow. What else do we got? John says, hey, Amit, unrelated, but Jacob DM'd me recently that the Lex Friedman podcast is on Alex Karp's docket, but he is busy, sounding like it will definitely be happening through. If Lex Friedman can interview Karp, that would be so much fun, dude. The thing about that podcast, though, as excited as I would be to watch that, I do think the Palantir legal team, like Lex Friedman is not going to be an easy interviewer. Like that's going to be a 3-hour-long interview. Karp's never done that. And that's going to be asking him like really tough questions. Now, Karp can easily answer those questions, in my opinion, but I do think the legal team would be a little worried if Karp says something here or there, right? It's not easy to have a CEO of a $50 billion company talk for 3 hours and make sure that every fucking syllable he says, it does not ruin, shareholder value to some perspective. So I do think the team would definitely be a little cautious of doing it, but it would be one of the best marketing opportunities for Palantir. That interview would get millions and millions of views. And, or I think it would get at least 1 million views, dude. I think it would get there. I mean, Karp is big to us. He's not a Mark Cuban. He's not a, he's not a CoffeeZilla. Ironically, I know that's crazy to compare it to a YouTuber, but like CoffeeZilla's interview has like 10 million views, right? Like he's a different guy, but I do think if I do think enough people would be interested to click and kind of see what Karp has to say, given Palantir still is mysterious to the broader public as well. So it'd be cool to see how that plays out. Dennis says, Amit, what are you wearing? I am wearing traditional Indian fabric on me right now that I paid $25 for. I bought 4 of these vests from an Indian boutique near my house, and I haven't deployed them on the channel yet. So I thought, you know what? Tesla's below 150. We need something to brighten up the day. This is what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to do. Tesla right here, 149. What's the result on the poll? The poll that I did here on the channel, the poll got it right. It was 80%, right? It was 80%. Yep. Tesla below 906 votes, and 80% of people said yes. All right, there you go. 140. 140 on Tesla. 140 on Tesla. You bought them in Edison. That's correct. I did buy them in Edison. Dude, if you're from Jersey, you know Edison is literally India 2.0. If anyone ever comes to Jersey, Arnie's gonna be here. Arnie's coming to the States in May, and he's gonna stay at my house. And so I'm gonna take him around New York and Jersey. We're gonna do a live stream from my house. So I'm gonna show him the good parts. This is his first time coming to the US in general, so it's gonna be fun taking him around New York and letting him see everything going on. Amit, what do you think about DXYZ? Where's DXYZ right now? How's that one doing? DXYZ, it's up 5%. Dude, I'm not touching that thing. I'm not touching it at all. It's a closed-end fund. The NAV, we did the analysis yesterday. You're paying a 6x on the net asset value of the fund, meaning they own $6 equivalent worth of SpaceX and OpenAI stock. The ETF is worth $31. It's just like, it's not worth it, dude. It's like, this is dumb. I've been like, it's just, maybe for a swing trade, okay, but like, this is not something you want to hold on to the long term. If anything, I would buy ARK's venture fund. I think that's a way better NAV to premium ratio than this Destiny tech thing that came out of nowhere. So it matter when it IPO'd and you made some money, that's great. But now at this point, the premium to me is just ridiculous. So I'm not touching that one. CleanSpark at 1566 Palantir, 3 cents away back from 21, trying to get back to that level. We'll see if we can get there. But let's see if that can actually happen. Well, it sounds like 80% of the chat was on point. That is correct. 80% of the chat was absolutely on point. To make Arnie some Indian food, yeah, we're gonna have to make Arnie some Indian food. It's gonna be fun, dude. It's gonna be fun. It's I never had a friend travel across the world come stay with me, so it'll be really cool. And that's also the beauty of YouTube, right? Like the fact that we met each other on the internet, and it'll be fun to show him America. I've got to go to Italy one day. I've never been to Italy, and I kind of want to go to Italy because, like, I think Italy would be kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. I think Italy would be cool, or at least Italy would be. It would be interesting to see the actual Italian food. Like, I love Italian food, but I've never actually had authentic Italian food. I've had Olive Garden, which I love Olive Garden, but it would be nice to have some more authentic Italian food. Let's play a little bit of tell him to fly Airbus. Yeah, we got to tell him to fly Airbus, dude. We got to get him some NY pizza. 100% got to get him some NY pizza. Let's play a little bit of a Tesla debate that went viral yesterday. Let me pull this up right now. I thought this was really interesting. So this on CNBC, some of you guys might have seen it, some of you guys might have not. There's this one dude, Steve Weiss, who is really angry at Tesla. And there's this one lady who said, you know what, you just hate Elon and this traditional bull bear that are going at it when it comes to Tesla. Let's watch a couple minutes of this and then we'll move on.
I'm not trying to be difficult with this, is that as a fiduciary of her investors' capital, how could she invest in a company where there is no governance, there is no independent voice on the board, where they've gone out and made an acquisition like Solar City, right, to stop it from failing because it was his brother's company and because the federal government told SpaceX, you've got to stop buying Solar City bonds with the money we're giving you for R&D, where he's tried to buy, use Tesla to buy material for his house, the windows, where he wants a $55 billion pay package, and where we saw Jack Dorsey with 2 companies. We've got Elon Musk with multiple companies that all require his time. Plus,
Palantir back above 21.08 right now, and Robinhood is green.
There's the allegations, and we saw it on Joe Rogan's broadcast, of drug use. So how does a fiduciary own this company with anti-shareholder governance repeatedly, time after time after time? Isn't it worth just passing on this and going to something you don't have to explain owning?
Yeah, well, I own this personally, first of all. This is a personal position. So I think, we love to own broad-based ETFs for the majority of our client base. So this is.
So first off, he was like, you're a fiduciary. You're a fiduciary means you have a financial responsibility to protect your client's money. And she's like, first of all, I buy ETFs for my clients. I'm buying Tesla out of my pocket. So already she's just like, you sound like a dumbass right now.
Not a fiduciary decision. This is my decision. And so I think that, what you're pointing out, I mean, these things, I think you just don't like Elon. And so I think that if you separate yourself and say, look at this company, well, I think that's the truth, right?
I'm not showing you sentiments. Everything I said is a fact, Bryn. It's a fact.
I know, but why does he's a grown man and the Joe Rogan thing is just like strange. And that was years ago.
It's not just Joe Rogan.
And so I think that if you just look at the company, and when you still look at the two companies where the best engineers want to work, is our SpaceX and Tesla. Because this is not
that is a fact, dude. And we can't deny the talent wants to work for Elon, which means, yeah, the stock can suffer. And by the way, if the talent gets RSUs, restricted stock units at this strike price, maybe those people become very wealthy in the next 5 years, given they still want to work for Elon Musk.
an Elon show as well, although it feels that way. He has to be able to retain top talent. And I think as it relates to Tesla specifically, being pragmatic about the company, as I said, the chart looks terrible. And they are in a very murky situation right now because it feels like, are you going to be a car company that's balancing higher revenues, higher earnings and margins, and then also innovating at the same time with full self-driving, more energy and robotaxi? Or are you going to do a full pivot to robotaxi? I think if they come out and do that, that's a revaluation of the name on the downside, because that is probably 5 to 10 years out. So,
and by the way, sorry, Bryn, if this is principally a governance related story,
that's one aspect of it.
Sounds like it's a major one. However, you could, right? Major.
Even put that aside, the fundamentals deteriorating. We've hit limit in terms of the EV adoption. They've got the oldest EV lineup in the industry globally. They've got 20% of their revenues come from.
I don't get this argument, dude. Like, I don't know what other EVs people want to buy in mass outside of Tesla. Even if EV demand is slowing down, I don't know why people would pick like Honda's EV over Tesla's EV.
From China. We've seen what China has done. Okay, we've seen Apple move their supply chain to India, and they've got better relationships and longer standing relationships.
Bitcoin 63, Bitcoin's running.
Relationships with the Chinese government. We've seen China. China is supporting their domestic producers that, by the way, make newer, more richer in terms of the accessories, in terms of basically even the range. So of their cars than Tesla. That's number two. Yeah. Number three, we've seen Elon just tweet out, oh, no more prices, we're raising prices. He lied. They're cutting prices. We would say big robo-taxi announcement. We secured funding for the take private. The guy is a pathological liar to keep his stock price up. So forgetting about that, the fundamentals deteriorating. You've got lots full of EVs that are selling at major discounts from the major auto players that couldn't sell them. So the fundamentals are horrendous.
Yeah. So I think that in China, they actually,
let Bryn go.
One more thing. It's like one more.
This also was annoying, dude. He kept interrupting her. I'm just like, yeah, you're allowed to interrupt in a debate, but like, if you got to talk, like, shut up, let the other person talk. Like, it just looks so bad.
More like buzz line. It's like, once again, you just don't like Elon, by the way. And so it's like when you look at when you look at the EV market, they're actually continue to be with BYD the top selling brand in China. And so when we look at America, which is about 9% of the EV space, China, which Tesla was it's like the only manufacturing company that was able to build in China autonomously without having influence from the Chinese government. He has a very strong relationship. I believe they're about to announce they're going to be building their next gigafactory in India, a huge untapped market. And so I think that when you look at this company in the US, if this was a US EV story, I would not own this name. I don't think Americans want to drive EVs in.
So, I mean, Steve Weiss, dude, he just, I think he lost that debate, dude, because he went for ad hom attacks at Elon and then he kept interrupting and the interruptions weren't even that good. And so she straight up said, no, on the fundamentals, Tesla is the stock to bet on when it comes to EVs. You could be bearish EVs in general, but to be bearish EVs and then take that on to Tesla when the stock's already down 40% year to date, not the easiest. Right now, we're seeing a little bit of a market recovery, folks. Not horrible. Tesla's still down, but Tesla not down as much as it was before. Look at Bitcoin, 63.5. It's up 2.4%, 1,500 points in a matter of 10 minutes since we last saw it. CleanSpark, 16. That's up 8%. Coinbase, 235. That's up 5%. Robinhood, 1724. That's up 1%. MicroStrategy, 1245. That's up 5%. Bitfarm, 7%. That's up at $1.90. Marathon's up 4%. Riot's up 2%. Ethereum is up 2% as well. So crypto getting a little bit of momentum that's helping the entire sector. Palantir is gaining some momentum as well. Palantir back above $21. Chris's puts are not in the money anymore. So there you go, $21.08, down 1%, rebounded from $20.70. Nvidia is up right now. Shopify is up. Snapchat up 5.4%, and the S&P is green, 501.62 on the day. Oil prices, let me check if they're as down as they were this morning. Okay, they're flat. So nothing crazy there. But the fact that oil is down, it's at 82. It was at 90 a couple days ago. Like, that's good. That's really good. If it can get down to 75, that would be really good. Let me show you guys my dream scenario in August. Let me show you what I think could happen in August. And if this happens in August, it's going to be like the best thing in the world. Like, it would be just the most amazing thing. So I think by August, my dream scenario, if we can somehow pull this off, is this. By August, if CPI, maybe I'm off on the month. I'm probably off on the month. It's probably going to be October, November. But if CPI is around 2.8%, oil's back to 65, Bitcoin's around 85, S&P is pushing 530, and the 10-year is below 4%, called 3.7, 3.8. All of that before the first rate cut. Why would that happen? Q1 and Q2 earnings would have happened by then. They would have crushed. And I think significant amounts of money in money markets, we'll get new numbers today. There's about 6.08 trillion that would have to leave money markets. If those two things happen, maybe these catalysts or these kind of milestones can be achieved. And then 2024 ends off being one of the most amazing years in the market. Now, is this unlikely? Yes. But if it does happen, it would be pretty damn incredible. Don says, I don't see oil dropping significantly with gold being so strong. I do think the decline we're seeing in oil today has to do with inventory being a bit higher. Remember, Iran, the U.S. is not sanctioning Iran on the oil, and they're stopping Ukraine from bombing the Russian oil refineries. So the U.S. is basically doing hands off on two different geopolitical areas, right? Two different parts of the geographic areas that have geopolitical tensions, and they're allowing them to drill. Because they don't want to mess with oil prices, right? So at least as long as Biden continues to have that happen, maybe oil does start to come down a little bit more. But if Israel attacks Iran over the weekend, which it looks like is going to happen, that probably is going to spike up oil as well. Christian says, thank you for the $10 super chat. Volkswagen has 30 EVs coming out. GM in China, Ford's, Mackie is really good. Plug-in hybrids are really good. Tesla's good, but he never came out with a cheaper car. All that plus JPOW and rates equals death. All of that is correct. The problem is the stock's already down 42% year to date. And so I agree with, like, a lot of people were saying, Amit, you don't understand the bear case. I'm like, no. I get the bear case. The bear case is very obvious. The thing is, the stock's down a lot. So we have to ask ourselves the question, how much more pain is there in a stock that's down 40%? And like, is there more pain? Probably. But is there another 30% down to go? I don't know, dude. I'd like, if it does happen, then this is one of the most horrendous stories over the past decade for a public company. If Tesla falls down, and that means it would be down 70% in the matter of 12 months, 18 months after going up 20x over the past 5 years. And like, I don't know if that would happen. I don't know if that would happen. I would bet that wouldn't happen because I think there's enough people ready to buy the dip. So I think the bear case is intact for Tesla, and I think Q1 earnings is going to suck. But I really don't know if this thing goes down to like $110 or something. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Matt says the stock being down a lot is not really a good argument. Valuation matters more, and it's still overvalued. I agree with that as well. I do think the valuation is still rich on Tesla. I get it, especially if they're not putting out an M2. All the Wall Street delivery numbers go to shit because the M2 is not going to happen, or at least is going to get delayed, and we'll know that for sure in Q1. But if Elon, you know what Elon needs to do on this earnings, dude? Elon needs to bring Cathie Wood on this earnings call and get her to talk about the robotaxi model. Like maybe she can convince Wall Street to think about robotaxis, because she's valuing robotaxis the way I think the street or Elon wants her to street to value robotaxis. It's just the street is not doing that. But if that would be the case, then maybe the street gets more excited about it. Speaking about Cathie, she just did a new interview with Morningstar. So here's about 3 minutes of her talking about EVs in general. And let's take a look at what she had to say. She did this interview yesterday right now.
Along with...
Oh, this is the wrong one. Let me show this one. All right, here we go.
In your latest research paper, Big Ideas for 2024, you listed your strongest convictions. Among them, you mentioned robotics, AI, Bitcoin, and also electric vehicles. You anticipate that EV sales will grow from roughly 10 million units in 2023 globally to 74 million in 2030, which is a lot, frankly, and which today I think is a very contrarian view given the increasingly unpopularity of electric vehicles worldwide. Why are you so positive about that?
Well, we believe that one of the issues, range and range anxiety, is going to change as range increases. But more important, we see electric vehicle prices dropping into the $20,000 to $25,000 range within the next 5 to 10 years. And if you look at price points historically, you adjust for inflation and you look at price points at which auto sales really take off model by model, it is around that $25,000 to $30,000 range. And so we believe that electric vehicles will scale to roughly 70% of the market by that time, and price will be the biggest reason.
And as a result of that, a robotaxi fleet, she believes, can be very possible. So that's what we got in the context of Tesla. Tesla right now, 150.58. So it's getting above that 150 level. Let's see if it can hold that for the rest of the day. But overall, market's recovering just a little bit right now. Robin at 17.23, Palantir 21.15, S&P 501.77, and Tesla at 150.42. Last two things. So we'll do word of the day. But one more thing I want to show you guys. Just now, I'm looking at this. I know a lot of people don't like him, and you guys think he's really cocky and narcissistic, and the perception of him is not the best. But this is why I fucking love this guy. So that video I showed you guys about Boston Dynamics with that video? Brett, CEO of Figure, he just tweeted, "Won't be the last time we get copied. If it's not obvious yet, Figure is doing the best mechanical design in the world for robotics. Let us cook." Now, look, a lot of people might be thinking he's too cocky, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But I think if you're taking on a multi-trillion-dollar TAM and you're going up against Elon, you've got to have some fucking dog in you. Basically, yesterday, I saw his replies flooded with people saying, "Oh, Boston Dynamics is a better robot than you guys. Their video is cooler. You guys are screwed. You guys are done." He sees everything, dude. He sees everything. And he's pointing out, wait a second, these motherfuckers copied us. You got to know who's the real guy in town when it comes to humanoid robotics. So this whole game is going to be so fun with Brett, Elon, Boston Dynamics, Apptronic. All these guys are going to go head to head. And I just love Brett's personality, dude. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care the perception. He's going to be honest, and he's going to fight to tell people that Figure deserves to win. That's cool. I like it. I really, really like it. And I like the personality there. Isn't it going to come down to who can actually manufacture the robots? I think it's going to come down to who can manufacture them at scale, but more important than manufacturing, which at the end of the day, that's like a manufacturing is not the hardest part to me. The hardest part, as described by Brett, is, so they have a public partnership with BMW. Can they actually, by the end of this year, get a robot to go to BMW and start making the cars? Like, can they get a couple of them? Forget 10,000. Can they get one or two of them to do a task monotonously? Okay, I'm trying to say monotonous. I'm trying to say in a boring way, right? Repeatedly, every single day, for a few months, without the robot falling, without the robot having too much maintenance, and actually providing value to BMW, the company. If they can do that with one robot, two robots, five robots, they can do that with 1 million robots, but that's the biggest problem. Can they actually figure that out? Can Aptronic do that with Mercedes? They have that partnership that went public, right? Can Tesla do it at their own Tesla factory if they're working on that with Optimus? Whoever figures that out first, I think we'll have the technology and then the robot to be able to manufacture to then license to other companies. And we know the demand for these robots is gigantic. And that's going to be the company that wins. So we'll see. We'll see which one plays out. But it's going to be exciting, dude. We're on the cutting edge of this industry. We're on the cutting edge of a brand new industry with humanoid robotics. It's so fun to see this plays out. Matt says, how can you invest in Figure? ARK's fund has exposure to it. So if you really want to get exposure, ARK's VC fund has exposure, but then you're going to have to just get exposure to SpaceX, OpenAI, Discord, some of the other companies as well, but they have some Figure. And then Tesla as well is, I think, another bet on robots, because if Figure wins, I think Optimus is going to win. I don't think Optimus loses and Figure wins, or Boston Dynamic wins and Figure and Optimus lose. I think this is like 5 or 6 players that are all going to take the market. It's just some of them are going to be a little bit better than the other ones, but it's going to be an exciting market in general as well. Okay, D-Gas says, I can dress as a robot and do that. So you mean an employee? We tried those for hundreds of years, and it seems like the world wants to move on from the employee paradigm that we've had for so long. All right, word of the day. By the way, after this, I'm doing an interview with Benzinga at 10:45. I just remembered. At 10:45, I'm doing an interview with Benzinga just about the stock market. It's like a 15-minute interview. So I don't know when that's going to go live, but eventually when that goes live, you guys will be able to see that as well. Buzzinga? No, it's Benzinga. Am I wrong? Benzinga. It's Benzinga. It's not Buzzinga. It's Benzinga. I was right on that one. Okay, so word of the day. What's the word of the day? What do we got? What do we got? Word of the day. You're joking. Okay. I was like, am I getting that one wrong? All right. I'm not doing this one. The fuck is this, dude? I'm not doing this shit. Dude, I'm not doing this stupid shit. What is this, dude? What is this? Benzinga, for those that don't know, is like a stocks media publication. So it's like a Forbes, but a much smaller Forbes, but they're in the stock space. Oh my God, dude. This thing is intimidating. Don't tell me this word is intimidating. Petrichor. 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 I think the C and the H is a K. Petrichor. Here we go.
Petrichor or Petrichor.
Let's hear it again.
Petrichor or Petrichor.
What did I say? I definitely got it wrong, dude. I definitely got it wrong. It's Petrichor, okay? I kind of said it right. I didn't say fully wrong, but I did say I was close, right? Yeah, I was close. A distinctive scent usually described as an earthy, pleasant, sweet, produced by rainfall. Oh, wow. I've smelled this before. Like, you guys have smelled like after it's rained and you walk outside. It's a really nice smell. The desert landscape was quickly transformed as petrichor filled the air after a long-awaited rainstorm. As the storm passed, leaving behind puddles and damp earth, the sweet petrichor lingered like a fond memory. I think all of us have smelt this before. People in Dubai are smelling a lot of this. I'm not, but we've all smelt this before. Petrichor. I love that. Petrichor. That's it. I wish I have some Febreze here. I wish they made Febreze for petrichor, because I think you can remember this from when you were a kid, right? Where you went outside after a heavy rain. You smelled. Is that similar to like a nor'easter when it comes to the rain as well? A nor'easter usually develops in the latitudes between Georgia and New Jersey. These storms, or nor'easter is an actual, nor'easter is an actual like large scale rainfall. So it's not the describing the smell, but after nor'easters, you tend to get a little bit of that smell. Basically, after heavy rainfall, I think that tends to happen. Okay, cool. So petrichor. The sweet petrichor of Palantir. That is great. A robot would not know this. See, the funny thing is a robot, dude. A robot's a fucking LLM. They would know everything. That's the other thing about these robots. When we talk to them, they're going to know everything. We say something, they're going to know. They're going to know. It's going to be so crazy, dude. These robots are going to be so crazy. Robots are going to be so crazy. Amit, you were close, and we got to give you credit. Typically, you were on a zip code away from correctly pronouncing the word of the day. I'm getting better, dude. I'm evolving as a linguistic communicator when it comes to these words of the day. Last look on the market. Tesla 151 back above 150. Not bad. Robin at 1720. S&P 502. Palantir 2113 on the day. All right. I'll be back at 1 p.m. with Jose. We'll be doing chip chat. ASML, TSMC, AMD's new chip. We'll be talking all about semiconductors. And then 3:45 p.m. we'll be back for for the market close. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in a couple of hours. Have a good one, guys. Good night. Not good night. Good morning. You know what I mean? I'm so awkward. All right. Bye.